My name's Chris. This is my 2008 solid axle Lexus GX470. In December 2024, I cut off all of the factory mounting brackets for the factory suspension. And using Ford F250 Super Duty axles, I converted it to what you see here. Let's talk about what I got right, what I got wrong, and what's next for this project. When I started this project, I barely knew how to weld. In fact, I have very little experience with cars in general. Other than basic maintenance and modifications over the years, stuff like lowering kits, wheels, tires, I really have never done any heavy modification to vehicles at all. When I was younger, I was into motorcycles. Cars are kind of a new thing for me. That being said, I got into off-roading through the help of a friend. I got this GX, which is my first 4x4 vehicle ever, and I decided I wanted more. The CV axles, not good enough. The rear diff, not good enough. I started looking into long travel. I started looking into upgraded rear differentials, the East Coast Gear Supply Dana 60, for example. And for the price, it wasn't good enough. All it did was improve upon the factory systems, but not completely fix the problems. Stuff like CV axles and weak differentials have been solved by other manufacturers years ago. Why was it not possible for the GX470? One of the most popular platforms as of the time of me doing the research. The fact is that unless you're willing to chop up your own vehicle and modify it yourself, you probably won't be able to get the strength that comes out of solid axles. So, with that in mind, I decided to chop up my own vehicle and modify it myself. One of the first things I did was buy a welder and a plasma cutter. I started practicing on anything and everything I could get a hold of. Scrap pieces of metal I found, pieces from Home Depot. I would chop up something, weld it together, and chop it up again until there really was nothing left. Once I had the confidence, I pulled my vehicle into my friend's carport, used the plasma cutter, started chopping stuff off. That's how I got to where I am now. Now, that's not to say I'm an expert at all. I have a lot to learn. I've messed up a lot. But you have to mess up. You have to be willing to mess up. When you get to the point where you mess up something on your vehicle and you know nobody else is coming to help you, that's when you learn the most. I have something my ex calls attention-seeking behavior. So it goes without saying that one of my favorite parts about driving this GX is that it gets attention everywhere I go. Every time I come to the beach, every time I go to a gas station, every time I drive through a busy part of town, I get people looking at it left and right. It's very, very common for me to come out from a gas station after grabbing a drink to find people taking pictures of the vehicle or people who want to ask me something about it. God forbid I go to Buc-ee's. The attention it gets is truly a lot of fun. It means that the vehicle gets recognized around town and I actually get waves from people all over the place. That's something that's really fun when you live in a small town like I do. I wish it were women asking me questions about it, but I don't know if women even care about cars. Let's talk about what I got right. I'm very happy I went with the F250 axles. The support for them is second to none. I built my entire rear axle, including a locker, gears, and a complete rebuild with new bearings, brakes, for under $2,000. If you know anything about the rear end options for these vehicles, you know that that's a bargain. And the Sterling 10.5 is a significantly stronger option. The support for the front, the Super Dana 60, is second to none. You can buy brackets pretty much anywhere for this axle. The only problems I've run into, realistically, with the radius arm setup is the clearance for the radius arm brackets. It's not the end of the world, especially since this is not a dedicated rock crawler. This thing will easily do 70 miles an hour on the highway. and it handles pretty well for a vehicle its size. Considering I built and paid for this thing myself, I'm very happy with how it's come out. That being said, there's always room for improvement. One of the things I'm happiest with on this GX is the rear 3-link. Since I completed it and modified it, it's given me absolutely no issues. The upper link tower is attached to a truss from Barnes 4-wheel drive, and I have brackets on the frame with, I want to say, about 3.5 foot lengths. They're significantly longer than the factory links for this type of vehicle. The amount of articulation I get, especially for an axle this large, is very impressive. Currently I get just over 37 inches of wheel travel up, which is pretty good. That's where I max out. Where I need to improve are the rear shocks. This is one of those solutions that I came up with just to get it done. I'm not very happy with it. Truthfully, it's kind of janky. All right, so I've come out to this this lot, kind of near my house. See, there's a Costco. Oh yeah. I wanted to kind of show one of the issues I'm having with the rear shocks. The reason I need to fix my rear shock mounts. I'm kind of flexed out in the front. I'm pretty flexed out in the rear, and I'm not maxed out yet, but you can see over here the issue. That shock is fully extended. So the issue that I'm having with my current setup that I'm not very happy with, and I think I mentioned before, I set it up this way just to get it rolling, is that this bracket down here with the U-bolt will rotate because this is overextending. Now, it's fine that it rotates because it prevents me from damaging the shock, but the shock should not limit the travel at all. And right now, that's the issue I'm running into. So this is a big problem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to install hoops in the wheel well and have a shock mounted up here and down to the bottom on the axle. They'll probably be on the top of the axle somewhere. That way I have maximum travel, better dampening. I'll install better shocks and should improve the ride some. And then I'll be pretty happy with the rear once that's all said and done. That being said, it did get me on the road, and I have put many, many road trips on this and many miles on this vehicle since the solid axle swap, with the shock mounts the way they are. One of the principles I tried to build this with is don't get it right, just get it running. And I do still agree with that. However, there are certain things that I think might be worth taking the time and going through the first time. If I built these shock towers right in the rear and how I'm going to do them, then I wouldn't have to do them now, which is a pretty big motivator to get it done the first time. Right here, you can see probably what is my biggest single regret on my solid axle swap so far. The bump stops on this thing are completely inadequate. Right here, you can see I have about 1.5 inches left of shock length before I'm bottomed out on the shock. And the bump stop is just now barely touching. Now, it is technically functional. However, I have a puck on the coilover that prevents the coilover from bottoming out. and the bump stop is just not doing what it's supposed to. This is a multi-part problem that begins with me being impatient and ends with me throwing together kind of a hacky solution. Now, the way to fix this properly, and what I'm going to do, is to cut off what's currently on there and install hydro bump stops. I should have enough room to, at very least, notch the frame and insert a hydro bump into the frame, and then raise the pad right here in order to properly stop the coilover from bottoming out. This was another one of those solutions that was just done on the fly, done to get the project moving. My big worry when I was building this thing in my buddy's carport is that it would sit there forever and that it would never get finished. So the bump stops are not great. They are functional, but they're not as functional as I want them to be. I want them to actually protect the coilover and help provide a smoother ride. So I'm going to be going to hydro bumps here soon. One of the big things that I've always supported, and one of the things that I always will support, is to work on your project as it's rolling. If you try to do everything at once and try to get everything perfect before you even try to drive it, not only will it take forever, but you'll find problems that maybe weren't problems, and you'll find things that you didn't consider because you didn't drive it. This is one of those things that I threw together before it was done. I thought it would be okay, and it's only after I flex it out and I drive it, and I take it on trails and hit bad potholes that I realize it's completely insufficient. Every mistake on this build was just an investment in my skills, proving that the lessons learned are always more valuable than a perfect final project. I don't regret the setbacks because they're exactly what turn an amateur project into professional grade capability for the next one. If you value the process of learning through doing, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to join me for the next challenge. I'll catch you next time.